The Rams got absolutely robbed in the Matthew Stafford-Jared Goff trade. Let me explain. Now, if this is one of your first times watching me, I have actually made this video twice on my channel before. The first time was 2 years ago, a couple months after the trade initially happened, and then the second one was last year when I made an update on it. Well, I am back once again to give my updated thoughts on whether or not I think the Rams still got robbed in the Matthew Stafford-Jared Goff trade. Spoiler alert, I still do. To give some background, the Rams gave up, along with Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks just to get Matthew Stafford. And I'm not trying to throw any shade on Matthew Stafford, he's my quarterback, I love him. However, I would prefer to have stayed with Jared Goff. Now, if you do take a look at my YouTube channel, I do mainly talk about the Rams because that's my team. I love Aaron Donald, I love Jalen Ramsey before he left, I love every single player on here, and I love the team that won that Super Bowl. However, I am starting to become a Lions fan as well because of how dirty the Rams did Jared Goff. At the time of the trade, Matthew Stafford was considered a slightly better quarterback than Jared Goff. However, he had been dealing with some different injuries throughout the years. But the big selling point to the Rams was that he hadn't been turning the ball over the past 5 or 6 years that he was with the Lions. The most interceptions he was throwing in a season was around 10 to 11, and the Rams could live with that. You see, with Jared Goff's last 2 seasons with the Rams, he threw for 16 interceptions and 13 interceptions. Personally, I don't think a lot of those interceptions were his fault completely, and the offensive play calling could have used a tune-up in those years. Sean McVay wasn't doing Jared Goff any favors in my book. However, Jared Goff just finished off his 5th year. If you compare Matthew Stafford's first 5 years in terms of interceptions to Jared Goff blows him out of the water. Matthew Stafford threw for 20 interceptions, 1 interception, 16 interceptions, 17 interceptions, and 19 interceptions. Jared Goff threw 7 interceptions, 12, 16, and 13. That is a lot less interceptions than Matthew Stafford was throwing in his first 5 years. And the thing is, you can expect a quarterback to mature as time goes on, just as Matthew Stafford matured and started throwing less interceptions. However, the Rams did not take into account that Jared Goff might start throwing less interceptions like Matthew Stafford did in the middle of his career. You see, the Rams didn't even let Jared Goff enter his prime before they traded him away with 2 different first-round picks on top of that. And now Jared Goff is entering his prime with the Lions. In Jared Goff's first year with the Lions, where they were the worst team in the NFL the year before, he threw for 3,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions, and a 91 rating. Not to mention, he also missed 4 games, so that's not even a full season's of stats. He would have easily thrown for over 20 touchdowns as well as over 4,000 yards if he had those games back. I will give Matthew Stafford that his first year with the Rams was very stellar. He had 4,800 yards, he had 41 touchdowns, however, he had 17 interceptions. So he had double the amount of interceptions, which was what people were worried about with Jared Goff. However, the Rams were winning because they had a very stellar defense, so the Rams fans were happy. Heck, I was happy. We won a Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford was playing great, and we're happy. Looking at this past year, Matthew Stafford did only play in 9 games. However, he did throw for 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. If he played double the games like he was supposed to, he would throw for about 4,000 yards, he would throw for 20 touchdowns, and have 16 interceptions. And he had a very low quarterback rating of 87. Compared to Jared Goff's season, where he led the Lions to a 9-8 record, he had 4,400 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. So now Jared Goff is entering his prime with a 99 quarterback rating, and Matthew Stafford is sitting here hurt and hurting the Rams as a whole. So what I failed to mention in my previous videos that I'm mentioning now is that Jared Goff is entering his prime where he's going to be making less mistakes, and Matthew Stafford is going to start his decline here in the next couple years. Sure, Tom Brady was able to play at a very high level, and I really hope that Matthew Stafford is also able to do that as well. However, he has injuries, and his play was not good when he was on the field last year. Now, I will concede that the Rams were struggling with injuries with Aaron Donald, with Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, the whole Cam Akers situation. I get it. The Rams were just dysfunctional last year. However, Jared Goff was playing with the Lions. His best wide receiver was Quinton Cephas or Amon-Ra St. Brown when he was on the field. It's not like Jared Goff had a better cast of players around him. However, he is playing stellar football and he is leading that team and he is really blossoming. So the point that I'm trying to get through to all of your heads is that the Rams were just way too premature and did not let Jared Goff play out. And now the Lions have 2 first-round draft picks from the Rams that are going to be contributing a ton to their team, and the Rams are sitting here with later round draft picks. Now the Rams are good at picking in the later rounds, however, it would just be easier if we had those draft picks back and had Jared Goff entering his prime, leading that team the way that he is the Lions. The fact of the matter is Jared Goff is 28 and in his prime. Matthew Stafford is 35, about to turn 36, and not in his prime. The final point I will address is that people said that we got the Super Bowl and we probably wouldn't have gotten that Super Bowl without Matthew Stafford, and I think you're wrong. Jared Goff has had a ton of success in the postseason, and the Rams team that year was better than any team that the Rams had since their past Super Bowl. So there is no saying that Jared Goff wouldn't have also led this team to a Super Bowl win, considering he has already been there in one of the first years that he was a player. I think if we had Jared Goff, we would win the same amount of games and the Super Bowl, if not more. That's my personal opinion. I might be a bit biased because I like Jared Goff. However, I just don't think that getting that Super Bowl point is a fair point when we lost all those draft picks as well. But I want to hear what you think. Do you think that we overpaid for Matthew Stafford? Do you think we got robbed in this trade? Let me know in the comment section below. And also leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.